have you been interviewing and it seems like you're not able to cross through the first, second, or third phase? Now, sometimes what you might be doing wrong is that you're not preparing enough. Right. So in this video, I want to share 5 tips on how to crush your next video interview. Video interviews are the most commonly used now, and sometimes they might be very challenging. Remember, you're not sitting face to face with a person, so that kind of liaison is a bit missing. And if you don't know how to talk on video or to effectively communicate through video, sometimes you might still answer all your questions rightly, but you realize that, oh, you were not selected. Just imagine if I don't understand that, if I'm talking on video, I need to be looking at my camera. I might be looking on this direction, and the interviewer might think, oh, maybe I'm trying to look at answer somewhere. So it's very, very important to understand what you need to do in order to be effectively prepared for your next video interview. It's also very important to prepare for the video interview, because if you're not prepared, everything can go wrong. You can get in a panic mode. Hello, welcome to the Scrum Chat Room with Dr. Francis Mbunya. And if you're here, new year, hit the subscribe button. For returning viewer, we are dedicated to bring you information that help you to be a more professional or to be a best practitioner within the Agile space, right? And kind of good news moving forward in the 2023, we are going to be launching not just Scrum Master training, we're also going to be launching product owner training, we're also going to be launching product management training, we're also going to be launching Agile release train engineers, release train engineer training as well. So we're definitely going to be opening up our windows for more training, just to make sure that we help you stay relevant within the market. And most importantly, our school and community of practice help you to be ready for every interview. And if you're not yet part of it, you can consider it's the best investment you want to give yourself in 2023 is investing in yourself. Right, I tell you what I do every day. I invest in myself, and that is why I'm able to bring you fresh content every day, every time, and we still stay relevant. Not because I'm repeating the same thing, but because I embrace in myself. I study, I go for coaching, and the same thing I advise you to do. Now, without wasting much time, let's look at our 5 tips for video interview. Now, the first thing, which is not a tip, it's kind of general advice. The top 3 platform that I use these days for video interview: Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and sometimes Skype, right? And for some people, you might also kind of come across Higher View, which is like a self-recorded platform, but Zoom and Microsoft are like the top leading. Now, what should you do before every video interview? The first thing is prepare in advance. Now, preparing in advance helps you to have a clarity or to have an expectation of what should be asked. When you prepare in advance, what you're giving your brain the possibility to already start taking the interview, even the day of the interview. What are the things you should prepare in advance? Number 1, research about the company and the role, and just kind of have a tip of what will be asked. You can also kind of go as more as detail. If you know the people who are going to be interviewing you, just take a look about what they're doing and check on their profile. Some people look at this and then they kind of get in a panic mode. Oh, I saw this guy was interviewing me. He is the chief of Scrum Masters with so many years. I'm so afraid because they know a lot. No. Remember, when they are looking for someone to fill the gap, they are not looking for a super human being. They're looking for someone with an understanding, someone that can be able to effectively communicate, and someone that most importantly is open up to learn. You might know everything, but just because you don't have that openness or the spirit to learn, you still miss the interview. For instance, you might go and let's say there is a term like sometimes we kind of have a bit of differences between what bugs are and between what how do you call it, between a bug and a defect, right? A simple differentiation between a bug and a defect, which in most of the cases can be the same thing. And some people might also look at that as different in different environment. And you might be like, oh, I'm the expert, and this is too different. And you're arguing with your interviewer and that, and can you miss the point? So when you kind of understand who you're interviewing and you kind of understand the person who is interviewing you and understand that your role is not to clarify what is right or wrong, but to respond to the best of your knowledge, it gives you so much stability during your interview. Number two, many people never practice the answer before attending an interview. You need to practice role playing. Tell me about yourself. Get somewhere. If you're not in a practicing community like we do for our students and help them with multiple opportunity to practice, what you want to do is that you want to look for someone and just let them ask you the question, and then never go for an interview when it's your first time coming across question, when you have never even attempted to do role play of this question. It's not good, even if you're the expert, right? When you're on an opponent position where someone is asking question and you're answering, it's completely a different ball game. Also, make sure that you rehearse your talking point. Note down your talking point. Okay, look, sometimes when I talk, it's not because I'm too fluent in talking. It's because I take time and sometimes I research on what I want to talk about and have my talking point. If not, I might talk for the next 15 minutes and I'm not constructive. When I think about, I'm talking about 5 tips for video interview. I need to think, what are the 5 tips I want to talk about? What are the things I want to talk about? What are the sub points I want to talk about? Now, because I've written them down, if I can talk, you probably, if I didn't show that, oh, I got this here, you probably will not know that I'm looking at something, right? But because I prepared in advance, it helped me to be able to communicate fluently. But then you can only communicate fluently if you have the knowledge previously. So it don't just happen because you have this point written. It also happened because of preparing in advance. Now, the second tips is that you want to test your video platform. Don't go to the video and say, oh, it's Zoom, I got Zoom on my computer, and then you lock in like 2 minutes before and your Zoom says, oh, updating. And then you show up about 4 minutes later and you're panting and sweating. No, you always have to, when you have a link, try to check on that link, check if it's working, and all of that is very important. Test and see, check your sound, all of that is very important for you to check that as well. That's the second thing. So the first, prepare in advance. Second, test the video platform and tools to make sure that it's working. It's a good practice. Also, your internet. Sometimes if you know that you have a very bad internet, what you can do, which a lot of you don't know, when you have like libraries, community libraries in your areas, they always have rooms you can reserve. So you can reserve a room in the library just for your interview. If you check on your libraries, most of them have rooms. And most of the libraries, you don't have to pay anything to get enrolled there. Just go sit there. A professional background is very, very important, which is our next point. Prepare your backdrop. Now, if your background is distracting, it's a big deal. And sometimes many people use visual background, and then when you're shaking, your face is going off and on and all of that. It's very unprofessional. So the first, we're talking about prepare in advance. The second, test your video platform and tools. The third, prepare your backdrop. Your backdrop is like what you see behind me, right? What you see behind me is my backdrop. Most often, it's recommended if you don't have a well-organized backdrop or background, use a plain paper. Now, what you can also do is that you can go on Amazon and you buy a 3D background, which you can just kind of put on the wall, right? And sometimes if you're kind of not knowing where you have your interviews, and some of you might be taking your interviews in your car, you also have like portable backdrops you can carry along. Now, if you want to use a visual background, which is a visual background, always make sure you have a green screen. A green screen is simply means that you have something green. Do I have something here? Like, okay, here's an example of a green screen. If I pop this open and I put this on my background and I put a visual background, it's not going to show a broken face, right? So you need to be always prepared for your video interview, and that costs, I think it should cost less than $50 to get one. So be prepared. Just naughty and nasty background can make you lose an interview. So very, very important. Number four, dress the part. Dressing is part of the game. How are you gonna dress? Always be on business casual. You might be working from home, but don't look like home, right? Always look like I'm at work. Okay, this is my home office. Now it's about what's the time? It's about 7:30, 8 a.m. in the morning. I'm up, I'm about my work. Right. So dressing is part of make it part of your game. Right. Dress appropriately, look sharp. If you need a haircut, go have one, and make sure your lighting is okay. What makes a video is the lighting, right? The lighting is very, very important. If you don't have good lighting in your area, you can get a ring light. A ring light just put in front of you, it changed your whole entire setup, right? Very important. Number five, during the interview. All right, during the interview, this is one of the biggest tips, and I want you to pay very close attention on this. Now, the first thing you want to do is when you get in on an interview the first time, don't just kind of come in, maybe they're waiting for someone, and you just sit that if like you're nervous, and no, strike a conversation. Hey, how are you been? How's your day been? Oh, where are you logging in from? Oh, I'm logging. Oh, yeah, I visited it last year. I think it's a good place. How's the weather like? Just strike a conversation if they're waiting for someone. And also, not just all the time. There's some interviewers that want to be strict and not respond to questions. It's okay. You kind of really understand that, but be as friendly as much as possible. Now, you need to light up the environment. Lighting up the environment simply kind of just being open and being jovial and making a comment like, oh, I love your backdrop. Oh, I love the picture in the background. Oh, I love the way you dress, and kind of distract the environment is very important. Also, make eye contact, right? Don't just like you're talking and your eyes are up and you cannot even make eye contact. It's very important. If you're afraid to make eye contact, what you can do is that look at the camera on your screen. Now I'm looking at the camera on my screen. It's just the same when I'm making eye contact with the person. Gestures are very important. Don't just come and sit like this. You're talking. You need to be able to say, oh, like relevant gesture when appropriate, right? When appropriate. Don't be everywhere like like you play rap, right? But you need to understand how to be able to talk and make gesture, not so loud gesture, but really important gesture that can help you do that. If you don't really you're not a master of gesture, you're not a talkative person. Now some of the things you may want to do, you can practice like just like crossing your hand and putting them back, like this. You can go this most of the time, then you relax. Those kind of just show that you're not just stagnant, you're not just dummy. Most importantly, relax. A lot of people are very tense and like too speedy. Relax. One of the way to relax is always have a cup of water beside you. You can say, oh, okay, before I attempt this question, I'll like take a sip of water. Just relax. Nobody is behind you pushing you, right? Relax and relax. And sometimes if they're asking something, you might just nod your head. Right? Just gesture, nod your head. So 5 tips for video interview. Number 1, be prepared in advance. Number 2, test and make sure your video is working, tools are working, and also make sure you're locking in at least 5 to 10 minutes before time. Number 3, prepare your background or your backdrop, very important. Number 4, dress appropriately, dress to impress. And number 5, during the interviews, we already gave you some tips that you're going to be working on. If you're able to incorporate these, and you're well prepared, trust me, the chances for you to get selected is very high. Why? That's a law of attraction. The more you prepare it, the more you draw closer to it. If you prepare for this one and you don't get it, the next one, you're going to be super prepared, and that's how you crush it. I'll see you in the next video. And don't forget, it's not difficult. Take that out of your mind. If people have been able to do it, you can do it. If you need help, reach out. We have a very super practicing community that help you. We don't do it for you. We teach you how to do it for yourself so that when you get in the environment, you become the teacher. That is the goal.